welcome to our webinar on understanding of plastic waste management rule and draft extended producer responsibility. Myself, Bharti Parave, Assistant Director from Plex Council, would like to introduce Mr. Amlekar. He is a Director Operation in the Garware Polyester Limited, and he is the Panel Chairman of Plastic Films and Sheets Panel of Plex Council. Now I request Mr. Amlekar to give welcome speech. Over to Mr. Amlekar.
Thank you, Bharti, and good morning all participants and the Plex Council officers and the guests today. I extend my warm welcome to all the participants for this webinar, which is an interesting topic for all of us in the working in the plastic industry and hearing this subject on a day-to-day basis. It is indeed our pleasure to have you all of you today with us on an important webinar of plastic waste management rules and the draft of EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility, which is being organized by the Plastic Export Promotion Council. As we have been experiencing past 18-20 months, the industry is going through testing times with several pandemic consequences and effects directly and indirectly. Though the exports are indicating significant growth, it could have been much higher than what we see today if certain issues were addressed at the right time, so that the plastic industry would have benefited out of it. Still, it's not bad. The future looks to be good. In terms of plastic exports, the past 10 months, we have seen excellent growth, and plastic exports have exceeded expectations and targets and registered a positive growth of 40.5%, with value of plastic exports reaching to $9.9 billion. I can see most of the participants are familiar with the Plex Council operation and what kind of supports we get from this council for increasing our exports worldwide. For those who are joining this webinar or have not attended any of the Plex Council webinar in the past, I would briefly introduce Plex Council. This is the Plastics Export Promotion Council, as you call a short name as Plex Council. This is sponsored by the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Department of Commerce, Government of India, which promotes Indian plastic industry globally. Plex Council provides trade assistance to Indian manufacturers and merchant traders, SMEs, MSMEs, large corporates, who are actively exporting plastics in all forms. It could be raw material, it could be semi-finished goods, it could be finished goods, could be accessories, allied products, furnitures, anything which comes out of plastic. Different HSN codes have been designated. Once you start communicating with the council, council will let you know which falls under council's purview and what exactly is meant by the plastic products. To support and promote the Indian plastic industry globally, Plex Council undertakes various initiatives, which include organizing Indian Pavilion under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry at international exhibitions, buyer-seller meet, reverse buyer-seller meet, knowledge webinars, representing trade issues to respective government authorities, and many more where Plex Council, many more such issues where Plex Council provide financial subsidies granted by Government of India to the participants of various activities. So it is very important for us that we become a member to take all the benefits of these various services provided by the Plex Council on a regular basis. There is a digital magazine also available, which is named as PLEXCONNECT. You can visit the Plex Council website, you will understand more on that. And once you register as a member, you get these free copies of this digital magazine, and you will understand all the activities in advance and where we are going to have international exhibitions for promotion of our products. one of the important thing is Plex Council certainly gives a platform for communication with your customers outside. It's not only the communication with the customer, but it gives legal infrastructure required, what holds good in that company, any kind of support on regulation, any kind of support on facilitation to have establishments, any negotiations with the government authorities required. At least you get all kinds of guidelines from once you become a member and start interacting with Plex Council. We are happy to inform you that Plex Council has recently launched a certificate course on international business. Objective of this course is to professionalize the export business and to open better employment opportunities for enthusiastic youngsters and empower them with a strategy to resolve challenges of the international market. This is very good initiative because knocking a blind door, having some knowledge behind, will help our youngsters to get into the market. And of course, once you engage them, they find they become more employable to industries. Now, today we have been talking on the plastic waste management rules. This is the webinar's title, to understand various parameters, draft and the draft of extended producer responsibility in this regard, which government has launched recently for discussion and deliberations. As we all know, plastic was invented to help society 150 years plus back. And today we are working on thinking that it's a hazard, and we are going back to saying why plastic. Although the first plastic came from natural resources, including trees and biodegradables and plants, but over the time, petroleum became the primary ingredient to produce plastic. The modern plastic then became environmentally hazardous, as well as the disposal of those plastics also become a problem area for everyone. Plastic waste management is an initiative to control the amount of plastic waste in the environment by adopting circular economy and other environmental friendly disposal solutions. It certainly, in certain areas, it certainly bans the ban on the plastic products, which affordable alternatives are available, which can be implemented, which can help encourage plastic production and circular materials and establish high uptake of recycled plastic. It's a complex global issue. Various countries are working on this. You have been hearing a lot of news coming through global network on plastic tax and waste management rules, becoming member of some institutions, getting your facilities certified by them. So this is all going on. Today, what we will see on this two highlighted subjects, waste management rules and the draft of EPR. We are pleased to welcome our speaker of today's webinar, Mr. Pranay Kumar from Vasudha Ecofriends Projects Private Limited. He is having experience of 24 years in the leadership, marketing and technical roles. He has shared his knowledge as guest faculty at IIT Roorkee, International Business School, Boston, and Indian Institute of Packaging. He has created environment sustainable solutions on biodegradable plastics, recycling, solid waste management, and also holds technical expertise on microbiology, nanotechnology, solar science, and electric vehicles. Mr. Pranay, we are glad to have joined us today and agreed to address our participants on this important webinar. Once again, I welcome all participants to this webinar and request everyone to take maximum advantage of the expertise and experience of the speaker. We invite you to keep sharing your views and perspectives with us, and together let's build a greater industry for all of us. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I think I give it to Pranay to start his deliberations. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Amlekar, and thank you, Plex Council team. So as Mr. Amlekar said that plastic is a noble material, yet it is being right now targeted because of certain issues, because it's a new raw material on this planet. So the government of India is doing greatly, and I must say that our government MOEF's PWM initiative and solid waste management initiative, because plastic waste is a part of solid waste management. What I have found across the world, it is one of the best rules and regulation envisaged by the Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change at Government of India. So there are 2016 notification, 2018 and 2022. We will discuss that, and we will kind of try to discuss how can we take advantage of the rules and regulation, and by complying with the rules and regulation, and yet we make ourselves, each one of us, profitable. So that is my agenda today. So I will share the slide and then start discussing. So what we will discuss is plastic waste management 2016, 2018, 2022. There are two other notification. One is final single-use plastic ban, and one is draft EPR rule, which is basically on recycling of recyclable plastics. But first, as a national executive member of Plex Council, I must promote this thing we are launching today and tomorrow, Plex e-pages. This is a vast directory of plastic industry in India, and in second stage we will start registering all the clients industry across the world. So if someone has to find, let's say I am in Greater Noida and I have to find a PET bottle manufacturer for my oil company, oil product, I can search on basis of the product and geography both, and can directly talk to 5 or 6 suppliers in my area, thus saving the transportation cost, and we can overlook and supervise what is going on because it's local. So it is one of the basic premise. Second is you can get calls from across the globe about your product. If let's say we have been doing all this advertisement on different platforms, this is one platform which can take our products across the world, which is the basic mandate of Plex Council. The flow of the presentation would be intention of the government, context of plastics as raw material, as Mr. Amlekar said, perception and myths of plastic, and then we go to all the plastic waste management rules. The intention is very laudable, and it is basically because we work on solid waste management also to reduce the solid waste in India and create a circular and sustainable economy.
So just 1 second, can we make it a full screen?
Oh, yeah. So context is, as we were saying, it is one of the most eco-friendly raw material on this planet. It is a new raw material, let's say 100 and 110 years, has been vastly used in last 30 years. And if you compare, let's say, with glass or so if you compare it with other raw materials like glass, cardboard, other places, other raw materials, it is vastly, the eco footprint of that particular material is very, very less. Let's compare it with aluminum, high energy requirement. Let's compare it with paper. Paper uses a lot of water in its processing and a lot of trees are cut. Whatever we say recycled paper, we cannot make 100% recycled paper, because as we know, paper is also a natural polymer of hemicellulose and lignin. So if we think just because we are seeing that it biodegrades somehow or it disappears, doesn't mean it has completely biodegraded in the environment. It will take its own sweet time in aerobic condition. If it goes inside the landfill, then it will basically take longer period of time than maybe even a biodegradable plastic or a starch-based plastic. Just 1 second. I have to move this slide. Can anyone who has annotated can move the slides? Hello?
You are not able to change the slide?
Yeah.
Do you want me to upload it from my side? Sir, do you want me to
It's
upload
okay.
it from my side? Yeah.
Biggest advantage of plastic is its low water usage and very low air pollution and extremely efficient process of manufacturing. Like we can even manufacture many products inside, let's say 2,500 square feet, including the inventory. So this is how efficient and eco-friendly plastic is, as we know. So why I am insisting on this point is because we as an industry, we do not even share these points with the clients. So when an NGO, let's say, discuss something about plastic being a pollutant or not, it is basically a behavioral trait of the end customer, which is leading to all pollution, especially let's say polyethylene or small pieces of plastic or ice cream cups. So it basically comes under behavior of consumers. But we are being blamed as because we are not able to counter that through the proper communication material and communication method. Is it movable now?
No, sir. We can see the same screen.
Okay. I will just take 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah. It's visible now.
Okay. So this slide presents its comparison with jute. You can see how high the inherent water consumption of jute is when it is grown. When we are talking about any raw material, we see that there is, what we call innate consumption of resources like water, energy. So when a jute plant grows or tree grows, it consumes a lot of water and consumes a lot of carbon during its growing period. We don't count that generally, but it is occurring on Earth and it is consuming the Earth's resources. So what is the perception of plastic generally out there among industries, clients, and even by some plastic industry people? Health and safety, toxicity, it is not biodegradable, disposal amendment, what should I do? Perception, health and safety. What we found in a Elsevier paper is PET is one of the safest material, raw material, which has no leaching property. Though there has been certain papers which say that there is some bisphenol, but bisphenol or any kind of chemical is not being used in PET or PP to actually make that particular polymer. So how can any particular element come in when it is not present in the original polymer? So that is one point. In contact with food, we know all kinds of food packaging is in plastic. This is a plastic age. Transportation is very easy. It's too it reduces the cost. It reduces the carbon footprint of the complete supply chain. It is easily manufacturable, unlike any other raw material, like let's say aluminum. It does not take so much energy. Let's say if we are making a glass, it needs at least 500 degrees centigrade to melt it and make it in a particular bottle. And then that particular bottle can only be recycled in that particular color, because once the color goes in, it cannot be removed. Perception of toxicity, it is not injurious to health, most of the things. If we are not using recycled material or any other material or additive which is not inherently dangerous, or like let's say chromium or cobalt in free radical form, then it is completely safe for human consumption or packaging, animal feedstock packaging, anything. Biodegradability, and up till now, like 10-20 years ago, it was non-degradable. It is a polymer, and its strength. It has a long chain of properties, monomers or oligomers, and it makes what it makes of them, like the resistance to moisture, resistance to oxygen, and strength despite being very, very low in weight. So these are the strength, but these might also become weaknesses of plastic. But we have certain biodegradable plastics in the world out there. There is starch-based form, PLA form, PBAT form, and we have something which we can work with the fossil fuel-based and petro-based plastic also. Here I will not discuss that. We can make it with PET, HIPS, PE, PP. So here we want to say that India right now doesn't have industrial composting facility, and there are coincidentally there are 9 test methods for biodegradability provided by Ministry of Environment and Forest. So we can look into other biodegradable standards also. Recycling, whatever is recyclable, India is one of the topmost country through informal sector right now, which is recycling all the polymers. You can see all the kabadiwalas, crack pickers taking a PET bottle, a polyethylene, PP, everyone, and they even know the material just by touching it. So that kind of system is not evolved in other countries. Biodegradability, if you see banana peel on 6 months, this is what is happening. It is mostly lost moisture. If you compare it with PET bottle, you can see all these bacteria forming with black form, and under the microscope you can see the microbes on the substrate of the plastic PET. So what is better? I think biodegradable plastic or recycled plastic alone cannot do it. We have to have many methods. We have to have pocket of solutions like recyclability for plastic which can be recycled, biodegradability which cannot be recycled, like let's say sanitary napkins, diapers, pesticide bottles, paint hold containers, biomedical. So there are many types of polymers, as we all know, and we have to approach each polymer and each product in a different fashion. So that is my humble suggestion in this regard. And of course, all the plastic industry people are doing whatever they can, and I think most of the plastic industry companies are trying to comply with government norms. Yesterday only I got to read that Dabur is recycling 27,000 metric tons of waste. Recycling means recycling to the basic polymer, or using it using the multi-layered plastics as energy recovery in cement kilns. All these are permitted by Ministry of Environment, PWM 16, which we'll discuss. Recyclability numbers we all know. Challenges in recycling across the country is that mainly, let's say, we are in a rural setup and there are 200 pouches of milk over a area of, let's say, 10 square kilometer. It is unfeasible to, it is uneconomically to collect all that plastic. So that becomes one of the a talking point in recycling. So in that case, we have to come up with a solution, or it should be biodegradable. There is a difference in the word recycled and recyclable. We all know, but whenever the government comes up with some solution, we get confused between these two words. So what the government of India wants right now is the plastic needs to be recycled. So action needs to be complete. You can't just print everything on recyclable and get off the hook by the government. So it might be recyclable, but if you are not giving it to an NGO or a PRO, then the action is not complete and you are still under the law and you have to comply by recycling the equal amount of plastic you might be producing. So certain content makes a plastic unrecyclable and very difficult to recycle, like milk pouches. We have tried washing the milk pouch sachets. It takes a lot of water. If you add NaOH and sulfuric acid, it takes a lot of, it pollutes the water. So there are certain plastic which seems recyclable, but it is actually not if we compare the whole gamut of sustainable action we need to take, like save water, save energy and all that. Recycling also has some limits. It can be recycled, a particular molecule can be recycled, let's say 2 to 3 times without losing much of its physical and chemical properties, as we all know. So government has provided certain alternatives to recycling into basic products. One is, as I told you, cement cleans, energy recovery, conversion to fuel if you get good quality plastic waste, consumer and waste. Construction of asphalt road was started by Dr. Vasudevan of Madurai University, and now these days we are certain Western governments are talking about and companies are talking about returning it to the basic chemicals, but right now it is very expensive, and the whole chain of supply chain involved in this is hugely complex. So why plastic waste management rules? So according to a report, the production will increase by 7 kgs in 2050 in our country. Various factors are influencing the take up of plastics and usage of plastics. We can see during the COVID, we used a lot of non-woven polypropylene as masks, as covers everywhere. And there is a particular habit of this particular new generation that they are ordering food from outside in the home. It's not only during the COVID, but generally the younger ones who are unmarried or the married couples, when they come back from the office or somewhere outside, they order food from outside. So there is a lot of food packaging involved of PP, HIPS containers, on the lifestyle, the climate change, everything needs kind of a intervention of different types of plastics presently in the world. So our consumption might have even crossed 20 million metric tons by 2020, because this is a case when it was written in 2018 when COVID was not there. So we increased maybe up till 25 million metric tons by 2020. So now we will discuss plastic waste management 2016, not in detail, because all the details are being expanded to different final notifications and draft EPR. So earlier when we started with 2016, so carry bags was said to be biodegradable, compostable, or if it is not that, then more than 50 micron. Same with shrink wraps. Multi-layered was earlier declared to be phased out by 18th March 2018, but seeing the viability and the value it produces in food, in pharma packaging, many types of packaging, government is basically trying to work out a scenario in which it can be incinerated and used for energy recovery by so completely phasing out is not a solution in present time 2022. Paying for recycling to municipality panchayats, we will discuss it in draft EPR. Earlier, there was a charge for carry bags, and many retail chains actually profited through it, like Future Group and all that, by placing a cost price of let's say 5 rupees or 10 rupees on a plastic bag in retail chains. So they basically added value and minted profit because of the Plastic Waste Management 2016 rules. So we have to look into how we can into work with the plastic waste management rules with the government, and yet we don't have to lose out on profit. We have to produce new products according to what is needed, and of course the best part is we get to save our environment and be called a responsible industry. In 2018, it was a one-pager. So it was basically for multi-layered plastic packaging. So here you see in clause 2.2 GA, energy recovery, biodegradable digestion, landfill gas recovery, which is basically a part of anaerobic biodegradation. And we'll discuss it further in schedule 1. So that was allowed for MLP. Charges for carry bags was removed in this particular waste management rules. So I have got many questions earlier also, and we'll see how many questions can be answered through this presentation. So impact of CPCB rule was there was a lot of confusion in the market earlier, and now they are coming up with certain clarity in the plastic waste management rule. So let's say there is some oxo-degradable plastic which was banned, which is not allowed by MOEF. It was sold across India. So that was one of the confusion. There was unscientific ways by certain local, authorities saying if you can burn the plastic and it doesn't produce the residue, then it is not biodegradable. So something like that. So I would like to state clearly and completely that CPCB, Central Pollution Control Board, is the responsible organization for implementation of plastic waste management rules. And all the state pollution control board reports directly to Central Pollution Control Board. It does not report to state governments. So there was a myth when we were talking and doing a seminar in Punjab, in Ludhiana, and these rules had just come in 2016. They were going to Chandigarh to manage all these rules. So when they talked to Plex Council and me, I advised them to first read the rules and talk to the Central Pollution Control Board for their predicament, because they were confused whom to go, and they were going to the ministers and all that. It is not at all under their control, unless they can only control at a local level by banning something, and that too they have to be under the guidelines of CPCB. They just cannot come up and ban anything, because our government is a federal structure government, and many laws which are under common areas like environment. Non-woven polypropylene has been banned, but these are earlier being sold as cloth bags. Now people know it, but it has a, as we have seen in the COVID waves, it has greatly protected billions of people from this virus. Additional rules, certain rules were not very thought of, like ISO 17088. It became one of the major confusion points. What is compostable, what is biodegradable, Actually, compostable is a subset of biodegradable. So when we say compostable, and it is defined under ISO 17088, it contains of three particular test methods. One is 14851 or 2, and two is OECD 207. Third is OECD 208, which is toxicity in plants and toxicity in soil. So all these three methods combined is called ISO 17088, and our BIS calls it IS 17088. So this particular method in the minds of the industry caused a confusion. It is not that government intended to do it, but maybe there was certain kind of English phrasing which came out in the minds of the industry and general customer also. So there are two types of test method for ISO 17088, and generally CPET does 9 months of test, though it can be also done in 45 days just for the sake of letting it see that it is biodegrading or composting. So 17088 is basically biodegradation in presence of oxygen, which is also called aerobic, in an industrial composting facility. So it is a specially man-made facility which is called industrial composting, and across the world only few countries have it. In France or certain parts of 2 or 3 parts I found out in Canada. So that is what is 17088. We have other 8 biodegradable test methods in Schedule 1 P Plastic Waste Management 2016. Please go and have a look at those biodegradable standards. If those can be tested by NABL lab, our customers are through, and we as an industry are also through. So there is a certain requirement also by CPCB to be endorsed by itself. That is one sticking point, because as we talk to Central Pollution Control Board, Plastic Waste Management, and the chairperson also, so the sticking point was that CPET was only allowed and they were testing only 5 samples for 9 months. So that is one of the sticking points, and we are still, because of the COVID, we could not talk to the Central Pollution Control Board, but they are in agreement that there needs to be a solution. Suggested solution, as I shared, allow all 9 methods which are already in the MOEF rules. Allow means they have allowed, but certain state governments and state pollution control board official thinks, and even industry thinks, that only one method is allowed. But no, there are 9 test methods which are allowed. And what I have written, ban all microplastics on cosmetic, chewing gum, straws, they have already done it. Recycling infrastructure, we will discuss it in draft EPR rules. They are already come out with a beautiful rules and regulations. And we need to basically be partners with the government to complete the EPR services. We should not fear what a particular official is telling or not telling, because when we have the rules in our mind and we know the rules out and out, no official or local level person can or client can, kind of put us on back foot. Clear communication needs to be made inside the plastic industry also. I think plastic industry is a bit slow in communicating with each other, supporting each other. We need to have our own forum, and that's where we are trying to planning to use Plastic Export Promotion Council as one of the major hubs of clear communication between government, customers, and end customers. So single-use plastic. So we now come to the next rule. Single-use plastic ban started on 12th August. Carry bags, whether virgin or recycled, less than 75 microns, already banned. Non-woven bags less than 60 GSM or 240 microns, already banned. Already banned from 1st January is earbuds with plastic sticks for balloon, candy, ice cream, and of course thermocol for decoration. From 1st July 2022. Now this is one major improvement by the government, and we have to think about it, how we have to, we can get alternatives. Plates, cups and glasses formed in expanded polymer thermocol, that is banned from 1st July. Laminated bowls and plates. So the definition of multi-layered plastics by Ministry of Environment is any packaging which has one layer of plastic is a multi-layered plastic packaging. So let's say there are many products I have seen certain coming out with bagasse plates and all that, but I find all these bagasse and paper plates with a thin layer of polyethylene. So that comes under multi-layered plastics. We should not confuse it with completely natural product. So we have to see whether they are using some plastic, because bagasse and paper are prone to absorbing liquids especially at a higher temperature. Small plastic cups and containers, so that is completely out. So alternative may be a steel glass or a glass bottle, and these are basically single-use plastic, and it is our responsibility also to reduce the usage of plastics which are single-use. And cutlery, of course, forks, spoons, knives, stirrers, disposable rigid trays, cup and straw. So now they have written it, and there was a question about injection molded trays and spoons and containers. So it is not exactly clear whether they have just banned the thermocol or thermoformed containers, or injection molded trays and cups or straws are also in. So if they have not written specifically, that also means that they are targeting all the cups and plates, whether it is made through thermoforming or injection molding. Wrapping package around the sweets, packaging, cigarette packets, all these. Plastic and PVC banners less than 100 microns, but they are actually taking action even on thicker banners. These days, there was corrigendum from Election Commission on banning the banners, political party banners made of plastic. Carry bags, virgin or recycled, would have to be 120 microns at the end of this year, 31st December 2022. So from 75 micron, it has to increase to 120 microns. So this is specifically for carry bags, virgin or recycled. We can go for packaging films, shrink films, but it is the specificity is about carry bags. So it is not about garbage bag. It is not about some wrapping films. Wrapping films can still be packed in 75 microns. So it is very clear that this is carry bag. And definition of carry bag under the Ministry of Environment rules are that it has to have a carrying feature, which is a handle or a D punch or something like that. Otherwise, it cannot be understood as carry bag. So when we are talking about making, let's say we are making garbage bags for exports, that doesn't come under carry bags. You have to tell the official that it is not a carry bag, and you have to show this particular plastic waste rules in their hand. So if someone comes knocking, you have to show that. If we are confident in ourselves, no one will be able to question us. And of course, CPCB and MOEF are with us. So if we act as one, as plastic industry as one, we will be able to, bust these myths about different rules. So that's why someone wrote about that they will carry on and something like that in a WhatsApp group. But I think education and awareness is the best method to counter that. Exemptions. Compostable and biodegradable bags are exempted. Plastic food bottles for non-food application. Food beverage 200 milliliter multi-layered packaging, 32 centimeter square and more, they are exempted. So all the items which are generally used for export are exempted and used for food and pharma packaging. Cigarette filters, it is biodegradable right now. These are also exempted, but there were certain officials talking about banning the cigarette filters later on. So biodegradable plastic, as I explained earlier, is explained in Schedule 1 of Plastic Waste Management 2016 by Central Pollution Control Board. And presently it needs to be certified by Central Pollution Control Board. Brand owner means a person or a company who sells any commodity under a registered brand, label, or trademark. So anyone selling a brand product, whether it's a small company or a single person company selling just oil, they come under brand owner definition. End of life disposal also means, apart from recyclability and biodegradability, generation of energy, as I told you, in under 22GA of 2016. It has been made a law that we can, and there are many companies which are benefiting by this, because plastic has a huge calorific value, more than 4,000, and then cement claims are using it as a raw material for energy. There are certain machines available, crude machines available in India, fine machines available, very expensive, from Netherlands or Austria. And these plastic material which are clean can be produced back to the oil, which is basically the basic raw material from which plastic is generated. Now, there is a myth that any polymer is not biodegradable. So I would just like to point out that our body itself contains so many natural polymers, ligaments, hair, skin is the most, is the largest organ of the body. It is a polymer. So we have seen in many religions, they put a body under the ground and it biodegrades. How does it biodegrade? So there are certain microbes which can survive without oxygen also, and they feed on different types of polymers as a food. So there are also many types of microbes which act together. So one is, let's say, consuming carbon as a source of energy, other is consuming oxygen as a source of energy, and third one is consuming sulfur as a source of energy. As we humans and certain most of the animals on above the earth, they are consuming oxygen as a source of energy to kind of convert glucose to the raw material as a source of energy. Oxo-degradable, oxo-biodegradable, these are misnomers, and these have been pointed out in international papers. It has been banned in UK. It has been banned in European Union. America doesn't allow much of it to be used, but it is similar to India. It doesn't say so much, but there are certain parts of India which used to use it. It has been brought down now, right? Because one, there is a specific issue of not being complying with the law, and second is its shelf life. So it is what we call OXO is basically photo fragmentable, which is basically becoming fragments under the sunlight because of the energy in the sunlight. Now we come to one of the most revolutionary rules presented by MOEF right now, but because of the COVID, it has not been further notified. So when we are talking about recycling and creating a circular economy, this is there are three models which have been created. Model 1, which is a fee-based model, in which the municipality or the local authority create a framework in which all three might benefit if they want to, like they are doing it in Indore. So one is urban local body or municipality, the assembler or the recycler, which is the end, like someone who is recycling polypropylene or polyethylene or PET. And third is basically the rag picker and all other people involved in the, I will show you the slide. So collector and assembler is one of the basic points, and we are involving, this particular draft law says that we have to involve the informal sector of waste collector, rag pickers, all these people into the main chain, so that it becomes formal and they also benefit, and the country benefits and the companies benefit, which are recycling, and the companies which are giving the responsibility of plastic to be recycled. Here, I would like to clarify, we don't have to recycle the same raw material which we are producing. Let's say I am producing 1 ton plastic per day for my packaging. I have to get it, I, I have to get 1 ton of plastic recycled anywhere, and any type of plastic can be recycled. It is not that that particular package has to be recycled, because it will become impossible for many companies. Most of the companies, let's say we are taking Tata or Reliance, and they are sending across India, they cannot pick up their own plastic packaging. So what Dabur did was to work with different parts in different parts of India, with different NGOs and collectors, to recycle 27,000 metric tons of plastic waste. So that is to be understood very clearly. There is a PRO based model. So one company is there, producer responsible organization, and then they take they say, come to you and say, if you don't have a recycling facility, I will do it for you, and we will get certain points for it. And when we recycle it, we will charge you a certain amount, and also give you a certificate which can be called, traded as a plastic credit. So this can be done by one of the companies, mandated as a PRO, or it can be also done between the companies. So let's say one company is recycling a plastic material, and other doesn't have the space or the will to do it. So what they will do is, they will come to this plastic converter and say, please convert it for me, let's say 50 tons per month. And they will say yes. So they will trade credits as a carbon credit between them. So importer, brand owner, they have all this mechanism to collecting, buying back. So this is a draft notification, we have to note. We had to give us certain feedback by 2020, I think, July 2021, and industry has given it most probably. As soon as this COVID era gets over, we will see the final notification of EPR. And also there is a very good, and I talked about this with the plastic waste management head of CPCB, and they are coming up with a registry, in which, let's say, if some company is doing for one or more state, they have to register with CPCB, and they have to report and create a system on how much plastic they have recycled. So there will be a national database. Everyone can see who is recycling, who is credit trading, who is going above board and, let's say, recycling more than what they are producing. There is a third model or variation of this, which I said this. This is 2A. So one is a tradable recycling credit scheme. It is not very clear. They have said that they will be using blockchain technology, but in this, I find that tagging a certain amount of waste for a particular process will be not very easy. It will be very difficult, but who knows, the technology is catching up very fast. We will be able to do something about it. There is also a fourth kind, in which we voluntarily take back the same material we are sending to the market. Let's say if I will take the example of Coca-Cola or Pepsi. There is a long chain of distribution. They can buy back the same bottle which they are getting from the distribution chain, and they can do whatever targets they can. So let's say they are producing 2 lakh tons of plastic, and they are able to take back 20,000 tons. So there, when they report to the CPCB, they will have to only recycle 1,80,000 tons through other PRO or other companies. So this is in nutshell what draft extended producer responsibility is. I am again saying these are just the major points, and you have to go and read all these, freely available on net in PDF format, and read it thoroughly according to your needs, your industry, and your machines. So this is one of the processes Draft EPR has suggested monitoring, producers, users, then collection. So collection system is wherein this clients come in. So you can see collection, sorting, recycling, and energy production is under the collection system. There is EPR law and the PRO viability gap. So if there is certain plastic which cannot be recycled, it will be used as an inert material in municipal waste. So there is an internal circulation which I have seen by Mr. Shike Mishra, the earlier secretary of MOEF. It was a very good circulation to certain staff and industry members that plastic waste management cannot be understood isolated in its form. It has to be connected to solid waste management, because ultimately plastic is a solid. And that's what I liked about the whole gamut of waste management rules which MOEF has come up with: solid waste management, e-waste management, plastic waste management, biomedical waste management. So all these have to work together to build a system in which waste is not waste, it becomes a resource for all of us. So this is the definition: extended producer responsibility. Producer responsible organization take responsibility of producer for collection and channelization to the end of life solution. Producers should work out the modalities with the state urban development organization or municipality. So here in Greater Noida, there is already a format in which the solid waste management rules are being implemented, and under that, plastic waste management rule is being implemented by collecting the plastic separately and recycling it, whatever is recyclable. Minimum thickness, as I said, 120 microns after 31st December 2020. There is a whole lot of structure under which secretary in charge of urban development department is responsible for implementation of all these waste management rules. This is rule 4, where each carry bag needs to be made marked recycled. Plastic sachet pouches should be not permitted for gutka, pan, masala, and tobacco, and these will be implemented even for shampoos, I think. Responsibilities of waste generators is clearly defined. You have to have a certain methodology for segregation at the source. Secondly, you have to store that till it is being disposed of by the agency or the municipal authority there. If let's say there's a shadi or marriage and we are producing a certain amount of plastic, it has to be segregated and kept and given to the local bodies for plastic waste management. So even for a temporary event like a shadi or a party, it is specified. So this is very, very good and specific. It is upon us and the rest of the state government agencies to implement this. So as I said, everyone has been responsible. There is a flow of hierarchy right up to the Gram Panchayat. You can see that there is a lot of responsibility being set up for plastic waste management and supporting each and every player in the whole supply chain. It is not that there is a gap, and of course there has been a feedback, and I think the government is going to make it very, very foolproof and workable. So I come to the presentation of end of this presentation, and this is my favorite quote: if you can't explain it to a 6-year-old, you don't understand it yourself. The great guy. Thank you.